AI is only as powerful as the data behind it. If you don't trust the inputs, you can't trust the outputs. And that's where most companies get stuck. It's not enough to have automation or algorithms. You need quality, transparency, and alignment across your go-to-market motion. That's the difference between tech that looks smart and tech that actually drives revenue. That's a quote from Kelly Hopping and a sneak peek at today's episode. Welcome to Revenue Boost, a marketing podcast. I'm your host, Kerry Curran, revenue growth expert, industry analyst, and relentless advocate for turning marketing into a revenue engine. Each episode, we bring you the strategies, insights, and conversations that help your revenue growth. So search for Revenue Boost in your favorite podcast directory and hit subscribe to stay ahead of the game. Is your AI strategy actually driving revenue or just adding noise to your tech stack? In Smarter Tech, Sharper Targeting, Fueling Revenue with AI, Data Quality, and GTM Alignment, Demandbase CMO Kelly Hopping joins me to break down how smart B2B companies are using AI, clean data, and GTM alignment to sharpen targeting, streamline workflows, and fuel pipeline growth. So if you're tired of generic automation, disconnected tools, this is your playbook for building a go-to-market engine that actually works. Stay tuned until the end, where Kelly shares the foundations you need in place before you incorporate AI into your tech stack. Let's go. So welcome, Kelly. Please introduce yourself and share your background and expertise.
Yeah, thanks. It's great to be here. I'm Kelly Hopping. I am the Chief Marketing Officer at Demandbase, which is the leading account-based go-to-market platform for B2B enterprises. I've been here about a year and a half, and excited to be on the show today.
Excellent. Kelly, we're excited to have you here as well. And, I first got to know you by reading one of your books, and was loved what you had to say, especially about the importance of the integration of marketing and sales teams, which is near and dear to my heart. So thank you for joining us. So you see a lot in your role, and especially the evolution of B2B buyers and sellers and tech. There's always something new, and we're really seeing kind of that influx and impact AI has had. You can't have a conversation about tech today without talking about AI, but it means a lot of things. So talk to us about kind of what you're seeing from a trend perspective, but also what are the important things and aspects and differences across different types of AI-driven data that really marketers and all business leaders need to be thinking about?
Yeah, I mean, we're using AI across the board. I mean, Demandbase itself is AI powered and always has been. But I think now it's becoming, more of a thing. Probably not I think what's been on the rise so much lately has been Gen AI, but I think the LLMs and sort of all of the mass processing of data that creates automation, finds efficiencies, can generate content, I think across the board is where we're seeing it. So right now I feel like I see it in workflows and automating those workflows, making things easier, making products easier to use. I see it in supplementing data. So a lot of folks who, especially in sales or SDR type roles, or they're doing a lot of outreach, then it helps round out profiles, helps fill in the gaps, helps track executives as they move from one company to another, all those kind of things. And then you also see it in the way that we create content, of course, and the way that we are able to source a lot of data, not just in your kind of chat GPT world, but even proprietary data of ours, and the way that we feed it and the way we train our AI models internally to be able to help create content for us, or create content derivatives, I'll say. We're seeing it across the board.
Yeah, it's definitely been a game changer when it comes to both the time efficiency, but also from so many angles, as you pointed out, and just getting that research and kind of more data to work with more quickly, but also the effectiveness, just being able to kind of pull it all together and act on it. But it comes with challenges as well. I know you're seeing a lot of that from a quality and transparency perspective. So talk more about that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, AI is incredible if it's built and based on good data, right? I mean, at the
Mhm.
end of the day, if you have bad data feeding it, no matter how much it automates or how much it can synthesize and create great outputs or recommendations,
Mhm.
bad data in creates bad actions out. And so I think that's where the scrutiny is going to come. You know, I've read these stats that say like a third of AI companies won't be around in a year.
Mhm.
And part of that's because it's a concept that they haven't been able to operationalize into a business. But others, I think it's because if you don't own your own data source or have a really valid, trusted data source, then you're propagating an AI solution that is fed on the wrong insights. And so I think that's the biggest thing we're seeing. So when I look at you know, some of the market, and I look at some of these tools, and I think, well, what's feeding that? Like, what in the world
Right.
is training that? So, you know, for example, we run agents at Demandbase within the platform, but those same data insights that are fueling the entire account based platform are also feeding each of the agents and collectively unifying all of the agents around those
Mhm.
same data and insights. And so you know that if you trusted Demandbase for your account-based platform, you're going to trust the agents that are running within it to speed up the workflows.
Right.
And so I think that's really so powerful. So when we think about, you know, an AI strategy across whether it's RevOps or whether it's in sales or marketing or CS or anywhere else in your kind of tech stack, understanding the source and the background behind that's really, really critical.
Yeah, definitely. And I think to your point of, if the data is not accurate, or that there's not transparency in where the data is coming from, that it could create problems down the road if it's not
Right.
accurate.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I was thinking too about what you're saying. There's so many AI companies that have popped up, or tools, and a lot of them you ask, like, what is it that you do? How do you help? And they're like, well, we have AI. You're like, yeah, yes, but like, what kind? Like, how are you using it? Where are the sources? What are the sources doing? So I think to your point of the importance of having that data quality and that learning model within, but also making sure that it's actually something that will be sustainable and continue to grow.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, it's the new SaaS, right? SaaS 10 years ago,
Yeah.
everybody was a SaaS company. You weren't a software company anymore. That was so dated. Now you're a SaaS company. And it's like, well, a SaaS company does well. I don't know, but we're SaaS. And then eventually, like, it just became so mainstream and commoditized that everyone's a SaaS company. So now what is your value prop? I think the same thing is happening with AI. That sort of whitewashing that happened in the last couple years,
Hmm.
where everybody rebranded as sort of an AI player, I think gets holes poked in it pretty quick if that AI doesn't have a so what attached to it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And it's, again, it helps make our lives better, but it needs to work.
Yeah.
And so with B2B marketing and sales, there's so much automation. There's so many different ways to build your tech stack to get smarter targeting, smarter learnings, content, background information. So how does AI kind of fit into what you see as the B2B tech stack today?
Yeah, I mean, I think there, like I said, there's a few different places, especially like in go to market. So,
Yeah.
you know, we use AI for content creation, right? And
Hmm.
that's not in the like the Chat GPT world. It is somewhat in the Gen AI,
Yeah.
but instead we still write all of our own stuff. I think people, you know, it gets criticized because it sounds so generic. It sounds like a
Yeah.
robot. It sounds like language no one uses. But when you build it right and you actually train your models based on your
Mhm.
own messaging, your
Right.
own brand voice, my own voice, the way I
Hmm.
talk, you know, and you can do that. Like we can pull like hours and hours of podcasts. We can pull
Yeah.
all of my LinkedIn posts. We can pull everything and figure out what I sound like and take that and you combine it with the messaging for our products, our brand positioning, our brand differentiation, our brand voice on our website. and you feed all those into each other, then you're like, oh, I can actually create content that is
Mm-hmm.
actually on brand, on
Mm-hmm.
point, relevant, differentiated. And I think that's really, really powerful. So we're still working on the kinks of how to best use that for original creation, or how to use that mostly for derivative creation. We still do
Yeah.
our own original
Mm-hmm.
content creation, but sometimes we can say, hey, we just created this great anchor piece, this 20-page ebook. Now we can use AI to take our own content, our proprietary stuff,
Yeah.
and create derivatives of it, because we
Mm-hmm.
know that it's valid, because it's going to use our voice, it's going to take our content and turn into something quicker. That's where the productivity gains, I think, really come from. I think the other place we use it a lot in our SDR world.
Yeah.
And so we want to be able to, one, kind of get quick responses to our customers. So what can we do with AI chat on the website? When inbounds come in, can we get them a quick response while we then
Mm-hmm.
research against them and come back with a more educated discovery? And then we can have more conversations. Can we get a discovery scheduled while we're also augmenting all of our data, so that our sellers are spending more time outbounding
Yeah.
and less time doing research? Right? I think the
Mm-hmm.
data shows that, like, I don't know, I think it's like 20 to 30% of SDR seller time is actually outbounding. The other 70 to 80 is spent just researching and
Mm-hmm.
trying to pull together from outreach and from Salesforce and from LinkedIn and from all the different data sources to try to come up with something
Yeah.
meaningful. And so
Yeah.
if you can automate all of that, then you have sellers who are more actively engaging and able to cover more ground. So I think those are a couple of big pieces, where we've seen it work.
Yeah, definitely. I think too that to allow the sellers to get that, and from a marketing and sales conversation perspective, getting more customized and prescriptive to who you're speaking with by using AI, definitely makes the engagement much smarter.
For
Um,
sure.
and so when you see kind of the larger investment in a company-wide tech stack from the RevOps perspective, your CDP perspective, kind of how are you seeing that? How are you seeing the companies approach that build, and how they're kind of evaluating what they should be using? Is there a lot of I guess, back to what we're saying, there's so many different options out there. It's like, how do you make sure you have one that's really optimizing the whole end-to-end process?
Yeah, I mean, we've been seeing a lot of trends lately, talking with customers. What my sort of like quick deduction is from I meet with CMOs every single day and learn more about
Mm-hmm.
their processes. What I'm seeing is that the larger enterprises, the upper mid markets, the enterprise organizations, they are typically running on a combination of established sort of all inclusive type platforms,
Mm-hmm.
the Demandbase, the Marketo, the Salesforce, the Outreach, kind of these big platforms that they're using to connect everything together. Maybe a Snowflake, CDP, like they're
Mm-hmm.
they're kind of using those big things, and they're trying to connect those things together as much as possible. The SMB side, or the more startup, scale up type business, I'm seeing more of this somewhat unbundled approach.
Mm-hmm.
One, the price tag of those big platforms can
Yeah.
be kind of a big barrier in moving
Mm-hmm.
forward, but also they can buy this AI tool for this, they can buy this data set for this, they can buy this intent source for this, they can buy an email platform for this, and then they're sort of trying to DIY the way it talks to each other, building their own data sources from it. And so kind of that back end operational component becomes very heavy lift, but it's more affordable and more reasonable. I think what you realize over time is that you end up with a lot of different data sources when you do that. And they don't always match. They're not always
Mm-hmm.
trusted. They don't always have the right sort of grounding and history behind them. And so I think that's a little bit risky, but you're seeing some of that. And then I think on this enterprise side, where they're realizing the value is if they can figure out, like I said, how to connect all of those big anchor points together. And what they're doing is sort of like unlocking the data. And they're
Mm-hmm.
saying, hey, we just want, like, hey, Demandbase, we love your platform. We love everything it does. our marketers are using it. But what we really want is the insights that are fueling that platform to fuel our entire go-to-market stack. And so now we've been working with them on APIs that connect it all together. So instead of having an account-based platform, they now have an account-based ecosystem surrounding their whole go-to-market motion. And I think that's really, really powerful. It's the way I like to think of it is kind of the AWS of ABM. I think of like, if we powered just our demand-based platform, that'd be like AWS just powering Amazon.com.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things we can do in our platform. There's a lot of things that Amazon has done in terms of adding categories and features and distribution and all the different things and products that they sell. But the power comes in that infrastructure, the AWS that's powering it, because you're like, wow, we could either power our own platform or we could power the entire internet. And so for Demandbase, we say, hey, why would we just power our own platform when we can power the entire ecosystem for go-to-market? And so it's a pretty exciting time, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And so many of the points you made are such important factors for marketers and RevOps leaders to think about, right? Because there's the large build, there's the custom kind of DIY, and the future, to your point, of having it all in one proprietary tech stack. Is what really is going to make you smarter, help the companies get smarter as we're seeing this shift towards go-to-market that is CEO-led, company-wide, North Star,
Absolutely.
all of the data together, including that customer success feedback, it's only going to make everything more effective.
Yeah, for sure. And what that means then is that you have to trust where that data has come from, right? If you are going to really connect it like that, if you are going to make it an enterprise-wide initiative, if you are going to have CEO involvement and sort of driving this big cross-functional initiative, then you need to make sure that you trust and there's transparency in the data that you can see. It's one of our big advantages as Demandbase as compared to our competitors. You can actually see the data. You can see it. You can feel it. You can play with it. And so that trusted data then can give you confidence your entire ecosystem is running in the most effective way possible.
Hey everyone, it's me, Kerry Curran. If you're a B2B company that sells to marketers, whether you're an agency, MarTech, or AdTech, and your revenue is either flattening, declining, or just not growing fast enough, I can help. I've spent my entire career selling, marketing, and servicing marketers, so I know firsthand the challenges they face, the buying decisions they make, and what actually moves the needle. The truth is, most marketing strategies aren't built for revenue growth, but mine are. As your fractional Chief Growth Officer, I'll bring revenue-focused marketing strategies designed specifically for selling to marketers, deep expertise in agency, MarTech, and AdTech buying behaviors, modern go-to-market strategies that include everything from brand awareness to driving loyalty and retention, and a track record of doubling and even tripling revenue for B2B companies just like yours. So if you're tired of your stagnant results and you're ready to build a marketing engine that actually drives revenue, let's talk. Visit revenuebasedmarketing.com or connect with me on LinkedIn to schedule a consultation. Together, let's build a smarter, more profitable path forward. RBMA, Revenue-Based Marketing Advisors, we're revenue-based marketing that works. Yeah, no, it's definitely a valuable add and something that I think will be even more critical to a company's kind of enterprise growth strategy.
Yeah.
So from your perspective, what is next for AI tools, especially when it comes to helping brands better connect with their B2B audience and driving those sales?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the big things, obviously, there's these kind of pop-up AI tools all over the place. But I think if we can leverage AI to improve the efficiency of the tools that we have, I think that's where the power really comes from. So, for example, Demandbase is a fairly robust, powerful, complex tool. But if you can use AI agents to sort of automate all the complexity out of it, then it becomes just a powerful tool. And that's incredible, right? And so that's what we're focused on for sure, is to make this product as seamless and simple to use as our customers need, because we want to increase their adoption. We want everyone to be able to use it, but we also need, but we also want them to not lose the power that comes with it. And so that's the bet that we're making for sure at Demandbase. And I think you're seeing that across the board. I think with the launch of Agent Force from Salesforce, they're doing the same thing, right? Big, robust tool. How do we make it as easy to use? How do we incorporate sort of chats and bots and automation and simple filters all the way through the platform? It just makes it that much easier. It makes those big platforms really, really accessible.
Yes, definitely. This is super helpful. And I definitely love your perspective of kind of what is needed and where we're going, and what what companies really need to unlock those insights to get smarter. So this is great. So for the people who've been listening and they're leaning, they're nodding to themselves and thinking, yes, Kelly, this is brilliant. I want to get started. Like, what are some of the foundational infrastructure a probably more of a scale up needs to have in place before they can start thinking a more sophisticated approach to something, like you were saying, a more company wide data center?
Yeah. I would say that, especially for startup scale ups that are trying to just grow so fast, to be a little bit
Mhm.
of everything to everyone, I think really, really tight alignment around your ICP is super
Yeah.
critical. What is your product market fit? What's the right set of accounts within that space to go after? Is it a
Hmm.
certain, behavioral ICP driven? Is it size of company? Is it region? Is it complexity of their go to market? Is it, what problem are you solving for them? But
Hmm.
understanding exactly what that bullseye is on your ICP, to me, is the very first thing, because that's going to dictate a different set of tools,
Right.
right? You're going to look for tools that are powered by data that can go after that audience, that has a lot of really deep, contact info or whatever it is,
Hmm.
technographic, firmographic, of that particular audience. You need your sales and marketing teams to be aligned around the go to market strategy. And if you don't have that alignment, that ICP, then figuring out the right accounts to go after, will be a frustrating exercise. And so once you nail the accounts to go after, then it's about, okay, now let's start there, right? You can build a very manual motion. But then it's like, which of these parts are repetitive and automated that we can use tools to sort of outsource some of this? So maybe it's an account-based platform, maybe it's an outreach platform, maybe it's a sales intelligence platform like a Gong. But I think it's really about, where are the gaps? If we know what our account plan is, let's map out what our customer journey is. Let's figure out where there's opportunities for optimization. And then let's
Hmm.
figure out what tech is available at each of those stages of the journey. There's so much tech out there. I get emails, 20 or 30 a day from like SDRs
Yeah.
selling, which I love SDRs. They
Yes.
work in marketing and I'm a big fan,
Yep.
but they're trying to sell all these different things in the tech stack. You're like, well, I guess I do need productivity gains, and I guess I do need more leads, and I guess I do need more pipe create, and I do need a higher conversion
Yeah.
of SQLs. And there's all these things you can do. But I think if you
Hmm.
figure out what you need to do based on your journey, your ICP, your accounts, because if your ICP is the Fortune 100, you only have 100 accounts to go after. You don't need the big things that go after the entire universe. You need
Yeah.
data on those 100 accounts, and so that's going to dictate your tech stack very differently. And you're going to organize your teams differently, and the amount you have to put into a system versus you can do more manually is all going to change based on the size and scope of your business.
Yep. That is brilliant, and I'm glad that you said that, because I think too often, to your point, I think marketers respond to those emails that say, "We can get you leads. We can get you leads," and you need the ICP, the messaging before, and the marketing to sales infrastructure. And I think if the more you can repeat that louder, more and more to the brands. I know I recently spoke with a brand that paid a BDR agency, and they said, well, they reached out to 4,000 people and we didn't get one meeting. And I'm like, yes, because
They're
we're,
reaching out to the wrong
we're
4,000.
Right. And you need the ICP, you need your messaging. You can't just go. I think too often we're seeing, oh, we need a tech stack, we need more BDRs, we need a sales team, and they're missing that infrastructure of ICP, messaging, differentiation, integration before they do that. So I'm so glad that you said that, because as important as all of the automation and AI and getting smarter, you need to
Yeah.
know who you're getting smarter about.
Well, I'll get invites all the time that are like, hey, we've got, a great CMO community. We'd love to have you come like sponsor this community. We're going to do a big event, whatever. There's 1,000 CMOs. In my head, I'm like, okay, I need CMOs. They buy my product. I ask a couple quick questions around what size companies do they come from,
Mm-hmm.
B2C, B2B, what regions. All of a sudden, I'm like, oh, they're in the wrong region. They're the wrong size company.
Yeah.
They are consumer instead of B2B, whatever it is. And all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, as lovely as that all sounds, they're not my ICP.
Right.
And
Right.
so I have to be like, no, that's actually not a great use of money. Those leads are going to turn nowhere after the event. And so
Mm-hmm.
instead, I want to get to the right people first.
Yeah. 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 You can guarantee me all the meetings you want, but if it's not the right fit, then it's not going to happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Excellent. Well, this has been super valuable. Thank you, Kelly, so much for sharing your time and your expertise with us. So how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, LinkedIn's probably the best one. Kelly Hopping, Hopping, just like a bunny. Yeah, I'm out there. I'm pretty responsive, hopefully, but I'm happy to connect that way and chat. All things go to market.
Sure. And you have a podcast as well. You want to promote that a bit too?
Sure. I host a Next Gen CMO podcast, and we bring on everything from up and coming, sort of new CMOs who are doing fun stuff, trying new tech, kind of creating the path for the future CMO, as well as kind of senior director, VP folks who are on the path that direction, and seeing what they're learning from. So, yeah, check it out anytime. It's out on all the podcast channels.
Excellent. Thank you. And we'll make sure to have that all in the show notes as well. So, Kelly, thank you so much for joining us. And we had a great conversation. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. It was great to be here. I appreciate the time.
Thanks for tuning in to Revenue Boost, a marketing podcast. I hope today's conversation sparked some new ideas and challenged the way you think about how your organization is ensuring data quality in your AI integrations and tech stack. If you're serious about turning marketing into a true revenue driver, this is just the beginning. We've got more insightful conversation, experts, guests, and actionable strategies coming your way. So search for us in your favorite podcast directory and hit subscribe. And hey, if this episode gave you value, please share it with a colleague or leave a quick review. It helps more revenue-minded leaders like you find our show. Until next time, I'm Kerry Curran, helping you connect marketing to growth, one episode at a time. We'll see you soon.